just found out I was unmuted. I am sorry. So, what I'm doing is setting up the base's playware. I still have yet to make these 3's animation for, which is what I plan on doing after this. But I'm first making sure that the base plays where it needs to play. Oh no. I've done something. Oh no. Well, aside from that, I might as well play the entire song for everyone. This is Chimera Quagmire, for which I have the ones muted that I don't plan on putting into update 1. So here it is. I'm gonna mute my mic so you can hear it, but it's 1 minute and 42 seconds long. I'm just gonna play it in its entirety. And that is the full song that I have done. I'm just gonna dock back over here. I'm setting it up back up so that everything's lined properly. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back to what I was doing now. I accidentally out that board. If anyone was wondering, what I just did was tried to get the save system on this island working and separated from the other. And I was struggling because I forgot that these won't set automatically through prefab, and I didn't get that ready beforehand, and I forgot to do it. So I just spent the last I don't even know how long doing it. Also, I did notice a problem with this. I'm just gonna quickly fix it now. Being went too far to the right, so you got to see part of the edge of the island, or place, or whatever you want to call this thing. So I'm not actually sure if this would be considered an island, because it's mostly just trees on a marshland. Well, quagmire. If anyone's watching this, did you know that a quagmire is another word for bog? I'm just saying that, because I didn't know that until I actually did, like, the naming of this type of place, which is Chimera Quagmire, or a dreamy or non-substantial place, is what chimera means. Chimera. I don't know how to say it. But it's, like, that is dreamy, non-substantial bog, or Chimera Quagmire. Actually, I've quite as well also played this one song. I do not plan on releasing this anytime within, like, the next 2 days, though I might sometime after. I do have to make, I think, 2, 3, 4, like 4 more creatures, being the element of sea, and a couple others. Which I do have their sounds exported. So this I also have all the others exported, because I did that by accident. And I have them all muted. So it doesn't really matter, so no spoilers there. I should have the exact VSDs. Also, I really like the 3D animation I did with this one's head on the title. Well, Carrion's head. These little close-ups of all of them playing. She did have her spots drawn, but it's hard to see. It doesn't really add much. And the song is glitched. And now it starts again. They're Phantomals, little Z's. Oh, the system's a little broken due to how the new is set up. But for this, you can choose between the creatures. Phantanil, Carrion, and Beast, or Vertical. flip him. That would be the opposite direction to this one. Actually, I don't know what happens when you do this. But that's weird. I do not like that. Aside from that, yeah, it's got a rating system working, so it will auto-update to which ones you currently have, so you can see 2 fat noodles. It's also in the order that you got them. So if I were to do this, I can get myself another vertical. And that's how they work. And then manually have to hit save, but it will automatically load when you open. Oh. Don't want anything selected over here. You can also make them sleep. You have to activate cancel before clicking the next one. I'm gonna get myself another carrion and bees to show they're sleeping. As I'm about to show, when it automatically loads, it'll also put them into the rightful places and whether or not they're sleeping. They will play their animation again before the actual song starts. I might make a overlay that says loading when you load up the place for the first time. For that reason. It's hard to see, but the legs of Beast actually move when it plays. Carrion is one of the creatures that don't make any noise himself. He just stands there boogieing to Beast. Also, Beast is alive. And these are feet. Just thought I'd explain that real quick. Because there is actually no depictions of death in my snake creatures. Or dying. Though there may be, like, falling apart in cases of unstable creatures like these. That's only if it calls for it. For which this, like, grip does not actually have that. So there's that. Well, time to move back onto the quagmire. Oh. I followed a tutorial for this. It still works. But when I load this... Go on. Go away. Go away. That happened again. Okay. Open. Start. And it'll actually make a little timer. And you can skip it. I do have a plan for this, I just don't have use for it just yet. But it should be fun to figure out and get working properly and fully. implemented. It's not obvious, I'll probably put it into the elemental combiner. For which, if I have to explain it very quickly, this little guy is named element combiner, and this guy is named market. And they're unique to Mycenaean creatures, and they're both living, like, buildings, if you want to call them that. For which this one will take an element in this side and an element in this side, and it will spew out a little egg. I still have to make the eggs slash unborn versions of the creatures, for which when I do that, this one will have that set up. And this one's just a market stall, which has a face like that of the syndication station, if anyone actually knows what that one is. But it's just a living box that sells you things. As if it'll let me open up Sesame. And there goes everything again. Okay, now if I were to select this, same problem as last time, but it'll show me all the ones that are available to me. And currently the only one that's fully available is... oh no, now I have too many families. Let's do that again. And you can go there. Also, they have no play animation, so they're not going to do anything or make any noise in this portion. Draw it's an empty animation. Although I do plan on, like, making the animations more animated and fleshed out once I get to a full release. Instead of a pre-beta, which is what I'm working to on this. Like, I want to get rid of all my temporary UI and just have the coins, diamonds, and food, which I don't even think I'll use food, and I might replace it with levels. But still have it known internally as food, because I don't want to redo a bunch of code. There's the elements. Look. Oh, the problem's over here. Hold on. Yeah, that's about it that I have done and have to explain. I wonder if anyone's actually going to watch this. Or even get this far without much of a noise until now. I have my microphone muted. But time to get to making this thing move. Which I'll just do on camera. Here's how I do it. I'll have it selected into... my other monitor is wider and allows for more room. But I'll select it over here where the start of the file is. And if I do this, it'll do that, and it'll show me where to put the sound. Which I'll try and explain very quickly. So this is animation slot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 is where, in this case, the animation for playing would probably start and end at 5, 6, 7. 7 will be where it ends and loops back to probably the idle. At 8, then 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it'll play another cycle of animation, which is 13, 14, 15, and then ends on 16. And then little things like this happen at the 30 mark. The one that's like half of that is happens at the 15, half of that is at the 8, and most of my sounds don't go any smaller than that. So that's just a quick explanation on how the animations work when I make them. And now to get on to making them. It also has a naming convention of the place, series, then the island, for which in this case is known internally as 2, then the element, then what the animation is doing, which in this case is play 1, for which I'll usually have all this empty space in these animations, so if I need to use them, I can just copy it, paste it. So I have all those frame things here, allowing for when it goes into something like going to sleep, and then as soon as it hits here, like, all that has to be reset back to here, like, if you have it get out of sleep. So everything has to be set up, so that does that. Which another explanation is that this has a transition duration and doesn't have an animation of it getting back up, so instead it'll just slide back up and flip its head back into position, which is fine for this, since going to sleep is all that it needs, which is it's simply just jumping up and then flicking its head down. And that's Fentanyls sleeping animation. Also, this is what I see when I animate. Like, it's very slow. Like, slower than what you'd normally see in this. It's actively on the tempo of 60, for which this is animated at 60 frames per second with interpolation. I'm gonna go back to, let me just take, okay, this one vertical has animation frames for its mouth, for which will happen every 10 frames, like that. Or in the case of it going to sleep, well, I guess it's not going to sleep, it's asleep. Oh. But sometimes they'll be at 5, like every 5 if it needs to go faster. So, just not realizing that this candy corn's in front and not in back. But that's not really an issue because it doesn't really make sense for it to go back into it. So here's a better look at her going to sleep. Also, this is made so if you're in, like, a blink and a miss moment, where the eyebrows will actually turn into, like, sleepy eyes, instead of relying on its actual eyes. That's how she works. It's just little things that you would never notice otherwise. Also, this is bound to happen if I select out like I just did. Once I select back in, it'll go back. Also, this is the rig I work with. For her. I can go on for hours about these, but back to the point, I need to get back to work on making the You Play Your Noise, for which actually has its own event under the creature controller methods and sound play. And I have it so that you can just put in the parameter of the int to what sound it plays, which in this case, sound 1. Which is this. And that is his, like, play 1 sound. Well, I'm just gonna explain it very quickly. A for audio, I for individual. 1 for the series, since this is series 1, so it's the one that you start on. Then 2 for the place, is the actual thing, which is the quagmire in this case, because it's series, DreamX, place, quagmire, and then the elements, and then what track it is. So if I go to something like the bass, which actually doesn't have an element, it's just the bass, it has 2 tracks, so the track will be known as bass 2. And that's how these work. Just going to go through them all very quickly as a little sneak peek to how they all sound individually. Even though I'm talking through it all, so it's harder to tell. Again, you can, like, once I submit this to GitHub, like, you can actually listen to all these yourself, and again, if you have all my VSTs, you can actually open the Cakewalk project and see it directly for yourself, entirely, without waiting for both. You just have to have my exact list of VSTs, which I will never make public. Hehehe. Now time to get back to making this thing make noise, for which 960 is the 16-second mark. So, yeah. So essentially another thing you can think of this is adding this by 1 for what beat it is. So beat 1 is 0, 0, beat 2 is 1, 0, 0, beat 3 is 2, 0, 0, and onward. For which, as I've stated, he actually can actually just play his idle. Something's not going right. Oh, it's because it's a 2-form idle. Now I'm gonna just do this. Which will also, I guess, would also let you know when the actual play starts, because you'll go from moving slowly, or to moving like this, and speeding up a little bit. That is actually what I did for Vertical for the nostalgia. Well, neglected nostalgia. Also, look at that head turn. That looks painful. But again, it happens in a split second, so you'd never notice unless I tell you directly. Or other things like the slobber slash liquid in his mouth dribbling about as he turns his head. Or his nubby little feet being too small to bend too much, so they just bend in on themselves and bend in weird ways. Or even the fact that he jumps when he does this. Like, those are all tiny little things. Which is also why he gets ready for it. Like, this is all just animation hullabaloo. Also, I've made it also so if I wanted to, I can do this, which I'm going to take it out preview, so it doesn't count as part of the animation. Like, you can just remove the mouth entirely if you wanted and just leave the drool. Or even remove the drool and just have it be the mouth. Oh, the mouth looks weird without the drool, because it's made to have a drool in it. It's just a little fun thing. Or even that like, where is it? The face, like, this is what's considered the face. An eyeball and the nose. The nose doesn't actually move, it's the eyeball that does. Nor does it blink. Also, these bones here are a stack of 3 for all the Z's. Also, these green lines are IK, for which is set up through the root in the IK manager, which comes with the 2D animation package, for which then the limb solvers, and these down at the bottom, for which tell the effect, which is front left, which is really the front left foot, to target to this, moving the 2 above it with it to point towards the target, for which is under this object. So when it's animated, the target itself, in this case, as you can see over here, like when he jumps up, the target is actually what the legs are going towards. And with that though, my time is up for today, and I will finish these animations tomorrow. But I hope you liked this entirely in-depth explanation on how my singing creatures comes together. Also, like, what was I gonna say? Oh. Whoops. I still have a cakewalk. Not cakewalk, Rita. Just gonna close out of that once it opens. But this is all just one big sprite. Like, I might add foreground details into their own PSD, but as far as this is concerned, this is one image. And same for this is all just one image. And that is because I don't want to do a complex parallax effect just for creatures going into position. Nor having animated tiles as they're all connected to the grid under main, which is this finite grid. Also, this is how big enough an island I can make it. Infinitely big. Well, not infinitely big. The corner's right over here. As far as I'm concerned, that's forever. And I don't plan on actually making the place that big, so this kind of thing will do for now. Also, you cannot actually move the element combiner or the market individually. Like, you actively have to use the tile palette's eraser on the main tile map, erase the area that you want to put it, and paint where it was before, or something like that, and actually move it there manually from this, since it's not considered a building and its box collider is actually set up to do open the market, or the element combiner's green, for which, again, if I were to show again very quickly before I get off completely, as this is mostly just a very in-depth explanation to how this is working so far. Oh, I didn't save all the manuals. Oh well. No biggie. I'll just get one more. Again, you have to actually hit this M, because it doesn't do it automatically, at least in this place. I did that weird face thing again. Save it. Because it doesn't save automatically. And now it has 2 fentanyls. This thing. For which, if I were to go into here, under UC and then icons, it'll have 2. Oh boy, that's loud. For which, if I were to select these two and go into element combiner, I'll show you that these are both connected, but won't submit. And that is because, well, it won't allow submit unless, like, these two are 2 separate creature datas. For which is its own explanation in of its own self, just as much as explaining what the creature controller does, which is one of the actual scripts I wrote, like, I'll actually have it written down if it's made by someone else. Like, in this is the original save data script, which is copied line by line, for which I've spun off and made my own for. And this is the main save data, which connects to these all others for an island, and will show you what you have for it. And we'll actively save as you can tell what this code is. It's just saying load the path first, then set the path to path, then set the path to these two paths, for which the path is a custom folder that you can make for separate, like, loading, so you can have multiple save files for the game at once on the computer, and then it will load them into these two afterward, based on what that folder held. For which, if I were to open it very quickly, for update 1 it would be this, and this. This is the way so that it'll save through the different scenes, and this is just every save file for the game, which if I were to open something like this, and actually carry it over, this is what it looks like, for which this is the line for one of the creatures, for which in this case, it's creature ID 1 being fentanyl on the quagmire. It is also creature ID 1 because he's the first one as listed in the creature objects right here as element 0, or as it is known in other scripts, 1. For which we'll have the X position, the Y position, the X scale, and if it's asleep. And I could go into the save datas, but that's mostly into the thing. The market is in of itself is a very complex and interwoven thing, for which is another one I've written by myself. Actually, I'm gonna go with the ones I didn't write myself very quickly. The grid building system is by Tamara Makes Games, which contains these two scripts. Not the interaction holder, but I think it's a creature. Camera inputs. It's outright shown here. The scriptable objects script I made myself. The save data again is made by this person. The timer is made by Tamara Makes Games, which also gave me these, but I did edit her script heavily to like have these three be something you add outside, because for some reason it wasn't working for me inside. And I've also disabled, if I can, and open it very quickly, I've also disabled the original one and just have it in that. And there's, I think, one more thing I had completely blocked out. Yeah. It's switching the tile map temp to empty and the tile map main to green, which is, it does break the game a bit. Like if you were to have a creature in one spot and move it to another, the area it was previously would still be green, and so would the area it is now. So eventually, if like you were to just stay in one island the whole time, placing creatures and then moving them around, they would eventually, like say I had a fentanyl here and a fentanyl here. Let's say I want to move this fentanyl here, but then the one that was over here I wanted to move here. I would not be able to move the one that was over here, because the one that was right here would still have its tile shown green, so showing the temporary that it's red and not allow you to place. That is very much so very technical jargon, but I hope it's understood. Also, I'm going to quickly fix the main camera again, just for the -6. Just, it's a lot of fiddling for most of this, and making sure that everything fits as good as it can. Everything's placed nicely, everything's placed perfectly. I hate this bridge, but I plan on drawing over like this, and all the, like, all the PSD files like this that are a vector will be replaced with a, like, PSD that has been rendered. Like, for example, this one. Like, it's one image, unlike this, but it shows the creature in its entirety as if it were in the store, for which this is also the image that would go into the store, for which breaks on ones like this one, because everything about her is translucent, but her, like, these sad amount of elements. So that breaks on her, outside of just using her image. Then Carrion just has his arms open with Beast, just laying there. Which again, Beast is alive. And with that, that is my end, and without a further ado, goodbye.